Welcome back to MotorVibes, your go-to channel for all things motorcycles. Today we're diving into 7 motorcycles to say goodbye to in 2025. So stay with us on why these 7 motorcycles could be discontinued in 2025. Number 7. HarleyDavidson Pan America. We've got the HarleyDavidson Pan America. This bike was Harley's bold step into the adventure touring world, but it might be taking its final adventure in 2025. It's like watching a rock star try to go country. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Let's talk about money first. The Pan America starts at a wallet-crushing $16,000 and can go up to $22,000 for all the bells and whistles. That's a lot of cash for a bike that's still trying to find its place in the adventure world. Now, the Pan America isn't a bad bike. It's got some cool features like adjustable seat height and fancy electronic aids. But some riders say it feels like it's trying too hard to fit in with the adventure crowd. It's like that kid in school who wears all the trendy clothes but still doesn't quite fit in. Harley-Davidson is known for its cruisers, and jumping into the adventure bike market was a big leap. It's like a steakhouse suddenly offering sushi. It might be good, but it's not what people expect. The bike world is changing fast, and Harley might decide to focus on what they do best instead of trying to be a jack of all trades. If Pan America doesn't start selling like hotcakes, it might find itself on the chopping block. Don't get us wrong, the Pan America is a solid effort from Harley. It's got the power and the looks to turn heads. But in the competitive world of adventure bikes, sometimes being good isn't good enough. If it does disappear in 2025, it'll be remembered as Harley's bold experiment in uncharted territory. Number 6. BMW R9T. This bike's been the cool kid on the block, mixing old-school vibes with modern tech. But even the coolest kids sometimes have to leave the party, and the R9T might be saying its goodbyes in 2025. Let's start with the elephant in the room, the price. At $16,000, the R9T isn't exactly spare change. It's like buying a really fancy suit that you can only wear on special occasions. Sure, it looks great, but is it worth the investment? Now, the R9T has some serious fans. They love how you can customize it, making it as unique as a fingerprint. But in a world where motorcycles are getting more high-tech by the minute, being able to swap out your seat might not be enough to keep it in the game. One of the biggest hurdles for the R9T is its air-cooled engine. It's like trying to cool your house with a fan when everyone else has air conditioning. As emission standards get stricter, this old-school engine might not make the cut. BMW's tried to keep up, introducing the R9T's cooler cousin, the R1259T, with a liquid-cooled engine. But it's like putting new rims on an old car. Sometimes you need more than just a facelift. Despite these challenges, the R9T still has a special place in many riders' hearts. It's the bike equivalent of vinyl records in a world of digital music. Not the most practical, but full of character. If it does ride off into the sunset in 2025, it'll leave behind a legacy of style and individuality that'll be hard to replace. Number 5. Suzuki GSXR1000. Let's talk about the Suzuki GSXR1000. This speed demon has been a favorite among sport bike enthusiasts, but it might be hitting the brakes for good in 2025. Why? Well, it's a bit like a sports car trying to keep up in a world of electric vehicles. Let's talk about price. At around $15,000, the GSXR1000 isn't exactly pocket change. It's like buying a small car, but with 2 wheels instead of 4. In a world where riders are looking for more affordable options, this price tag might be a tough sell. Now, don't get me wrong, the GSXR1000 has some cool features. It's got this fancy variable valve timing system and a quick shifter that makes you feel like a pro racer. But here's the thing, it hasn't had a major makeover in years. It's like wearing the same outfit to every party. Eventually, people start to notice. In the fast-paced world of motorcycles, standing still is like going backward. While other manufacturers are constantly pushing the envelope with new tech and designs, the GSXR1000 has been cruising in the same lane for a while. But it's not all doom and gloom for this speed machine. The GSXR1000 has a loyal fan base that swears by its reliability and performance. It's like that old friend who might not be the trendiest, but always has your back. If the GSXR1000 does ride off into the sunset in 2025, it'll leave behind a legacy of speed and thrills that'll be hard to match. It's not just a motorcycle. It's a two-wheeled rocket that reminds us of the good old days when speed was king and the open road was calling. Number 4. Indian Challenger. Let's cruise over to the Indian Challenger. This stylish bagger has been turning heads, but it might be parking for good in 2025. Why? Well, it's a bit like a rock star who can't keep up with the changing music scene. First off, let's talk about money. The Challenger comes with a price tag of around $24,000. That's not pocket change. It's more like empty your pockets change. In a world where people want more bang for their buck, the Challenger needs to bring its A-game. Recently, Indian had to recall over 1,700 Challengers because of a wonky rear suspension part. Now, recalls happen all the time in the motorcycle world, but too many of them can make riders nervous. It's like dating someone who keeps forgetting their wallet. Eventually, you start to wonder if it's worth the hassle. The Challenger is also duking it out with some tough competition. Brands like Harley-Davidson have a loyal following, and some riders think they're cooler or more reliable. It's like trying to be the new kid in school when everyone already has their friend groups. There's also buzz that Indians might be shifting gears towards more high-tech models. If the Challenger doesn't keep up with these new gadgets and gizmos, it might end up feeling as outdated as a flip phone in a smartphone world. Don't get us wrong. The Challenger has charm. It's got style for days and can eat up the miles like nobody's business. But if it doesn't adapt to what riders want and what the market demands, we might see it parked in the garage of history come 2025. Number 3. Kawasaki Ninja H2R. This bike isn't just fast, it's break the sound barrier fast. But even speed demons sometimes hit the brakes, and the H2R might be screeching to a halt in 2025. This bike costs more than some houses. We're talking $49,000 for a motorcycle you can't even ride on the street. It's like buying a spaceship for your daily commute. Cool, but not very practical. Kawasaki kept the H2R super exclusive, making it the holy grail of superbikes. But that exclusivity might be its downfall. With so few of these beasts out there, it's like trying to spot a unicorn in the wild. The company seems to be shifting gears, focusing more on bikes that don't need a racetrack and a pit crew. Plus, with all the new rules about emissions and safety, the H2R might find itself in the penalty box. It doesn't even have headlights or mirrors. Who needs those when you're going faster than light, right? As the world gets more eco-conscious, this gas-guzzling rocket might be running on borrowed time. It's like having a pet T-Rex in a world of house cats. Impressive, but not very sustainable. If the H2R does ride off into the sunset in 2025, it'll leave behind a legacy of speed and engineering that'll be hard to beat. It's not just a motorcycle, it's a two-wheeled missile that reminds us what happens when engineers decide to ignore the rulebook and go full throttle. Number 2. BMW R1250 GS Adventure. This bike's been the Swiss Army knife of motorcycles, ready for anything you throw at it. But even the toughest adventurers sometimes hang up their boots, and the R1250 GS Adventure might be doing just that in 2025. Let's break it down. First off, this bike's got a price tag that'll make your wallet cry. We're talking $20,000 for the basic model. In these uncertain times, that's a lot of cash for a lot of riders. It's like buying a small car, but with 2 wheels missing. Then there's the size. This bike's big, really big. It's great for long trips, but try squeezing it through city traffic or narrow trails, and you might feel like you're driving a tank. For shorter riders or those new to the game, it can be a handful. As more companies start making lighter, nimbler adventure bikes, the big BMW might start feeling like a dinosaur. And let's talk about looks. That tall windscreen and beak-like front end give it a distinct style, but it's not everyone's cup of tea. Some riders might prefer something that looks a bit more modern or aggressive. Don't get us wrong. The R1250 GS Adventure is a beast of a machine. It's got all the bells and whistles you could want. But in the ever-changing world of motorcycles, sometimes even the kings of the road have to step down. If this bike disappears in 2025, it'll leave some big tire tracks to fill. Number 1. Indian FTR 1200. We've got the Indian FTR 1200. This bike's been turning heads with its cool mix of old-school looks and modern power. Starting at about $13,500, it's been a tempting choice for riders who want a sporty feel without going full racer mode. But here's the thing. As more companies start making electric bikes, the FTR 1200 might be running out of road. Indian motorcycles are looking to the future, and they're thinking electric. They've got this new eFTR model coming up, which might push our gas-guzzling friend off the stage. Now, the FTR 1200 was never really meant for your everyday commute. It's more of a weekend warrior, perfect for those Sunday morning rides when you want to feel like a badass. As we get closer to 2025, there's talk that Indians might be ready to wave goodbye to this fan favorite. It's kind of like when your favorite TV show gets canceled. You're sad, but deep down, you knew it was coming. So, if you've been eyeing an FTR 1200, you might want to make your move soon. Otherwise, you might find yourself telling your grandkids about that awesome bike Indian used to make. Remember, nothing lasts forever in the motorcycle world. Models come and go, but the memories of riding them stick around. The FTR 1200 might be heading for the sunset, but it's sure left its mark on the road. And there you have it. Remember, nothing's set in stone in the world of two wheels. So keep your eyes on the road and your ears open for the latest news. Until next time, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up.